I bet you can find tons of information about all the awesome things about modeling. But what about the drawbacks? The drawbacks are the main reasons why so many beginning and experienced models drop out. Here are the top 10 drawbacks of the modeling life. These are the things that people won't tell you, either because they don't know about it or they won't admit it. How do I know about all these? It's because, unfortunately, I experienced each and every one of these low points of modeling, and I'm still experiencing it. So hold on to your seats because it's gonna be a bumpy ride. If you were to walk outside and randomly ask someone, hey, do you want to be in a magazine, in a runway show, or on a billboard? How many yes would you receive? You probably would not be surprised that most people are willing to do it even for free.
You now have an idea of the amount of competition you can expect while working in the modeling industry. See this line? This is a casting session in New York City. They actually ran out of space for people to sit. And those are people who have an agent who were called to the casting. But what about those who don't have an agent and are trying to get one? Look, this is the line of people trying to meet with a top agency in NYC. It was raining and the line wrapped around the building.
Rejections. No one likes being rejected. It stops us from our goals and hurts our pride in the process. And no one is rejected more than models.
What's frustrating is how unfair models can be judged. I knew a friend who wasn't selected for a project because she reminded the designer of his ex-girlfriend. How fair is that? When you are rejected often enough, you'll start to ask, what's wrong with me? And that's a horrible question to ask yourself because there is nothing wrong with you. But stuck in this mindset, you will continue to ask, if there's nothing wrong with me, then why am I constantly rejected?
Validation. You spend time posting a photo of yourself on social media, and after a couple hours, you find out that nobody liked your photo. What the hell? This sucks. We all need a certain amount of validation in our lives to remind us how special we are. This is the same for models, except it's amplified.
Models are performers who have learned to thrive from attention and recognition. They are used to this way of life and some depend on it. What happens when you take someone who craves attention away from the spotlight? Depression. One of the first projects that I worked on had me sitting in the middle of the room surrounded by a large crew. I was surprised by the amount of attention I was getting and felt proud and appreciated. However, that scene only took about 10 minutes, and once the director got what he wanted, the entire crew packed up and moved to a new location to shoot a different scene. I was suddenly left by myself, alone in the room. And someone even closed the lights while I was still there.
Industry standard figure. It should come as no surprise that models are expected to be in shape. This is especially true for fashion modeling and its strict physical requirements.
It takes motivation to achieve a good body and discipline to maintain it. Have an agency meeting coming up? Better drop that burger because they will take body pictures of you at the meeting. Have a runway show casting coming up? Better eat salads and work out or someone thinner is going to book that job.
Health expectations. Being healthy is important, but what if you weren't careful and cut the code?
If you were in school, you're calling sick. The same could be said for work. Your boss would totally understand and tell you to take it easy. But what if you have a model booking? Well, you'll get up and go to the project regardless, and the makeup artist will do her best to make you look okay. Why do you have to go? You are sick. Because there is an entire team scheduled to work on this project today, and you cannot miss it. In the event that you have a last-minute cancellation, not only will production have to find a possible replacement, they will notify your agent on how unreliable you are as a professional. In some cases, you might even have to pay for damages.
Managing your own business. You might not realize this, but modeling is a business. And what is the product? You are the product. You are supposed to know how to sell and market yourself. And if your career is not where it needs to be, I'm sorry to say this, but it's your fault.
For example, if you were rejected by all the modeling agencies you applied to, it's probably your fault. You probably didn't do your homework and figure out which agency is right for you or gather the right materials. And if you are not going to enough castings and booking enough jobs, is it your agency's fault? No, it's still your fault. You should be talking to your agent about your concerns, and if they don't care, yep, you should be proactive about it and look for a new agent. It's your job. You are the CEO, CFO, VP of Marketing, IT, PR, and the workforce, all rolled into one. In fact, you are also the janitor because you have to clean up after yourself.
Financial instability. Each modeling job is a separate and individual project, which means that no matter how well you do, at the end of the day, you will have to say goodbye to everyone and move on to the next project, if there is one.
You shouldn't rely solely on your modeling income to pay the bills. There's a phrase in the entertainment industry called feast or famine. When you have a project to work on, life is good and you can eat like a king. But during times when you are searching for your next project, you should be saving money for a rainy day. And there will be plenty of rainy days.
Criticism from family and friends. Another drawback that many don't realize is that the closest people in your life may not know what you're going through.
What happens when times are tough? During times when you really need support, you may feel alone. Because a common question you receive from family and friends during that time is, why don't you get a real job? When everyone tells you to quit, what will you do?
The next one is one of the hardest for me to live with, and I still haven't gotten over it yet. Short-term relationships. Do you believe that long-distance relationships work? If so, how long does it take for the fire that you feel for each other to cool down?
8 months. Yeah, 8 months was the longest long-distance relationship I ever had. I was traveling around the world participating in beauty pageants while she was working on becoming a top model in Spain. We made so many promises to each other. But when I was in the middle of a competition in Philippines, she broke up with me. Right when I was about to step on the runway, she sent me a text saying that she can't wait for me anymore and that she found someone. I was devastated. You can see in this video of the pageant that when they called my country's name, I didn't even walk on stage. I was backstage trying to figure out what was happening to my relationship. And when I finally walked on stage, you can't see it from my expression, but I was dying inside. You are a model. Your life is supposed to be flexible. You are supposed to travel around the world freely. And I can tell you, it is difficult to sustain a stable relationship with someone if you are constantly moving.
Are you tired of hearing about all the drawbacks to modeling yet? Well, I got one more to add to the list. Hard work does not always pay off. This one is one of the hardest to swallow.
Let's say you have your eye on a top model agency in New York. Leveraging your connections, you were able to schedule an appointment with the director of the board. After looking over your portfolio, she tells you that you have potential but need to lose some weight. Not too much, just a few pounds. Come back in a month when you have done this. So what do? You spend the next month strict dieting and exercising every day. Your friends invite you to the best steakhouse in town for a celebration. You decline. You are invited to your best friend's wedding, and while others were drinking and having cake, you are on the side having a salad. And what are you doing when you are not eating like a rabbit? You are exercising your ass off. Oh man, okay. The agency meeting day has finally arrived. The director of the model board takes you to the roof of the building and starts taking Polaroid shots of you herself. She starts to compliment you on your new figure and even asks you to go through 2 wardrobe changes. A smile spreads over your face and you pat yourself on the back. Well, you do that in your mind. She takes you back into her office and tells you to wait while she downloads the images and prints them out. After a half an hour waiting, she finally says to you, you are not a good fit for the agency.
What?
You explain how hard you worked this month and ask why you are not a good fit. She refuses to answer your question and tells you to leave. There's no point in trying to convince her. You walk out of the building, onto the street, filled with emotions.
What now? That was me years ago. This is the modeling life. This is the modeling industry. And it is not always fair. Now you should have a better idea of what to expect from the modeling life. Yes, it's exciting, and yes, it's fun, but it's also stressful and challenging. I just want to remind you not to be discouraged by all the drawbacks. Because hey, if I gave up when times got tough, I would not be here right now. So don't worry about it. I got your back. On to the next episode.